For over a decade, the world has been told a remarkable story about Ethiopia. It's a narrative of transformation, of an African lion economy roaring to life. International headlines and economic reports have consistently painted a picture of staggering progress, often citing near double-digit GDP growth year after year. This official story is one of a nation on an unstoppable upward trajectory, fueled by ambitious infrastructure projects, a booming construction sector, and agricultural modernization. We hear about new dams, railways, and industrial parks that are meant to be the engines of a new era of prosperity, positioning Ethiopia as a beacon of development on the continent. It's a compelling vision, one that suggests a future of widespread opportunity and wealth. But if you step away from the spreadsheets and walk through the bustling streets of the capital, Addis Ababa, that narrative begins to feel distant. Down here on the ground, the growth feels very different. It's a narrative of transformation, of an African lion economy roaring to life. International headlines and economic reports have consistently painted a picture of staggering progress, often citing near double-digit GDP growth year after year. This official story is one of a nation on an unstoppable upward trajectory, fueled by ambitious infrastructure projects, a booming construction sector, and agricultural modernization. We hear about new dams, railways, and industrial parks that are meant to be the engines of a new era of prosperity, positioning Ethiopia as a beacon of development on the continent. It's a compelling vision, one that suggests a future of widespread opportunity and wealth. But if you step away from the spreadsheets and walk through the bustling streets of the capital, Addis Ababa, that narrative begins to feel distant. Down here on the ground, the growth feels very different. Amidst the city's undeniable energy, you see another reality unfolding in the shadows of the new skyscrapers. A reality of rising costs, of a daily struggle to make ends meet, and of a generation of educated youth wondering where their place is in this new economy. The numbers tell one story, but the lives of ordinary people seem to tell another. This disconnect raises a fundamental and urgent question. If the nation's wealth is growing so rapidly, who is really benefiting? For over a decade, the narrative surrounding Ethiopia has been one of remarkable economic transformation. Official reports from the government, often echoed by international financial institutions like the World Bank and the IMF, paint a picture of staggering progress. The headline figure, gross domestic product, is frequently cited as growing at a rate between 6 and 10% annually, placing Ethiopia among the fastest-growing economies in the world. It's important to note, however, that these figures are complex estimates, and the methodologies used to calculate them can differ between sources, leading to slight variations in the reported numbers. This growth story is built on several key pillars. The most visible is a massive investment in infrastructure. Dams, roads, and railways rise across the nation, tangible symbols of progress and connectivity. Alongside this, a construction boom has reshaped city skylines. Agriculture, the traditional backbone of the economy, has been targeted for modernization, and a new strategy has emerged. The development of sprawling industrial parks designed to attract foreign manufacturing and create a new export-oriented economy. From a bird's-eye view, the data points seem to align, creating a compelling story of a nation on the rise. But behind those numbers, beyond the gleaming infrastructure and the optimistic forecasts, lies a different, more complicated story, one experienced daily by millions of ordinary people on the ground. While the numbers rise, the people's wallets shrink. Inflation keeps climbing, food prices double, and unemployment hits millions of young Ethiopians with degrees but no jobs. This is the GDP paradox. Foreign investors flood in, China, the Gulf, the West, building mega projects and taking big profits. But Ethiopia carries the debt, the rich get richer and the poor get promises. To understand the full story behind the numbers, we must listen to the voices on the ground. From the fertile highlands of Oromia to the bustling market stalls of Addis Ababa, a single persistent question echoes. If the economy is growing, Why aren't our lives improving? Consider a farmer who has worked the same plot of land for decades. He sees new roads and distant construction, but the cost of seeds and fertilizer climbs higher each season. The prices he gets for his crops at market barely cover his expenses, leaving little for his family or to invest in the next harvest. For him, national growth feels like a story happening somewhere else. In the city, a small shopkeeper faces her own version of this paradox. Her shelves are stocked, but her customers buy less, their purchasing power eroded by inflation. She works longer hours for smaller margins. Meanwhile, a recent university graduate, armed with a degree and ambition, finds the job market saturated. The opportunities promised by a booming economy seem just out of reach, replaced by unpaid internships or work outside his field of study. These individual stories paint a collective picture. They reveal a fundamental disconnect between macroeconomic indicators and the microeconomic realities of daily life. The answer to their question is complex, but it points toward a simple truth. Growth alone is not enough. It doesn't automatically translate to prosperity, especially when its fruits are not distributed equitably among the people whose labor fuels it. Ethiopia's story isn't just about numbers, it's about people. The world calls it an economic success story. But the truth? It's still being written by those left behind.